Hi everyone, this is Emmy. Today I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to crochet a beginner ribbed crochet slouchy hat. And it's a video that I taped a while back for another site who wanted me to come on as an instructor, but then I was not able to upload it on their site. So I'm going to upload it here today on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to get started and do that right away. So let's go. I'm going to use Red Heart Super Saver yarn and a 9mm crochet hook. And I'm going to work with 2 strands of this yarn. Hold 2 strands together as though they were one. I'm going to wrap the yarn around my fingers, place the hook into the loop that's formed, and pick up the yarn and pull it through. Now that is a slip knot, and you can tighten it up on the hook. Now to chain and crochet, pick up the yarn that you have in your hand and pull it through that stitch. And that is called a chain stitch. And I'm going to make 25 chain stitches. So go ahead and chain 25. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've chained 25 chains. And I'm going to single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. 1, 2. And I'm going to insert my hook in that second stitch, and I'm going to pick up the yarn with the hook, and I'm going to pull it through. And then I'm going to pick up the yarn and pull it through again. And that is a single crochet, so let me show you that again. Insert the hook into the stitch, pick up the yarn, pull it through that first stitch, and then you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Now pick up the yarn with the hook and pull it through the 2 loops. And that is a single crochet. So I'm going to single crochet in each stitch all the way across this chain. Okay, I have gone ahead and I've made 1 single crochet in each stitch across this row, and that's how your work will look. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So chain 1, and then you turn your work. In crochet, when you view your stitches from the top, there are 2 loops, 1, 2. In this pattern, we're only going to work in the back loop of the stitch. We're going to single crochet all the way across the row, only working in the back side of the stitch. So when you chain 1 and turn, it takes the place of this first stitch. So you're never going to work in that first stitch because this is going to lay across there and form a stitch. So to make the first single crochet, I'm going to insert my hook through the back loop. I'm going to pick up the yarn, pull it through the stitch, pick up the yarn, pull it through both loops. Go to the next stitch, find the back loop, insert the hook through, pick up the yarn and pull it through, pick up the yarn and pull it through too. Now I'm going to do that all the way across the row. So insert the hook, pick up the yarn, pull it through. You now have 2 loops on your hook. Pick up the yarn, pull it through 2. And I'm going to do that all the way across the row. Okay, I've worked all the way across the row, and now every row is going to be worked with the same instruction. You're going to turn your work, and you're going to chain 1. And again, that takes the place of the first stitch, so we always start working in the second stitch, insert the hook through the back loop of the stitch, pull the yarn through, pick up the yarn, pull it through too. And I'm going to do that all the way across the row, and I'm also going to do it every row until my work measures 22 to 24 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, I've worked 8 rows and it measures 4 inches. So that means the gauge on this pattern is 2 rows equal 1 inch. So I'm going to continue to work until I have 24 inches of crocheted work. Okay, I have now worked 20 rows and my work measures 10 inches. Okay, I have worked my rectangle until it measures approximately 24 inches. And now this rectangle will be folded in half. And now we're going to either make a seam here or slip stitch to join. And today I'm going to show you how to crochet a slip stitched seam. So to slip stitch a seam in crochet, this is where I ended my last stitch, and I've folded the work in half, and I'm going to insert the hook on the opposite side, and I'm going to pick up the yarn with the hook, and I'm going to pull it through both stitches. Move to the next stitch, and I'm going to insert the hook through this side of the stitch, and I'm going to go directly opposite and then stitch across, pick up the yarn, pull it through both stitches, and that will join the work into a tube. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch all across this seam and through the next stitch on the opposite side, and I match the stitches as I go. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch this seam, and so that will join this hat into a tube, and I'm going to continue to do that all the way across. Okay, I have slip stitched that seam all the way down, and now I have a large tube that's open at both ends. And I'm going to fasten off, and I want a long enough yarn end to be able to weave through and close this top part of the hat. So I'm going to cut the yarn approximately 18 inches. And to fasten off in crochet, you simply take the yarn end and pull it through the last stitch, and then pull to close that stitch up. And now I'm going to take these yarn ends and thread them into a yarn needle, and I'm going to weave through this last row of stitches on this end of the tube. Like that. And now I'm going to pull to gather up and close the top of this hat, and I'm going to take a few stitches to secure this top, and I'm going to weave this yarn end back and forth into the finished work and trim off the yarn, and then weave this beginning yarn end into the finished work as well. There you have a finished slouchy crocheted hat.